Hello, and welcome to another edition of Your Therapist Needs Therapy podcast, where two mental health professionals talk about their mental health journey and how they navigate mental wellness while working in the mental health field. I'm your host, Jeremy Schumacher, licensed marriage and family therapist. Today's a special guest episode. Today is a non-therapy person who is excited to talk about mental health, and I'm super stoked. Somebody I know personally, but also a Milwaukee person, and I love to get some Milwaukee folks on the podcast. I'm joined today by book influencer. Is that okay to say?
That's exactly what I am.
Yeah, book influencer Cree Myles. Cree, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for asking. I'm super excited. I'm excited to be here, and I'm always down to yap about mental health. Always.
Yeah. Let's start with what does a book influencer do, and how did you come to be that?
I love this question. I was literally just at the Wisconsin Book Festival in Madison, and a retired librarian, with her cane, walks up to me because I moderated a conversation, and she said, "What did you say you were?" And I was like, "I just literally talk about books on the internet." And she was like, "Oh, I could do that." I was like, "You could absolutely do that, and we would love to have you in this space." But I mean, I think a lot of times when people think about influencers, they think about makeup and clothes. They think about Kim Kardashian. But there's a whole subset of us who are pushing literature, and it's a fun community. It's dramatic. There are really small thematical hills that people die on that are hilarious. But overall, it's I really enjoy it, and it just started as a passion project. My middle child, Nat, I was at home with him and just needed something to stimulate my brain besides keeping track of my breastfeeding schedule. So I was let me just talk about these books on the internet on a consistent basis, because I had already been doing that. But when he came along, I was like, oh, let me try to build it instead of just casually doing it. And it was just a perfect storm, because Ta-Nehisi Coates, that was he was on the internet for 20 minutes before he disappeared back under a rock. So we vibed really well, and he just had his debut novel coming out, and I'm notoriously a chaser, so I always go for the biggest thing, even when it's not the ideal time to do that. So it was Ta-Nehisi Coates was on. I was like, who is the biggest author I could find and chase? And it's Ta-Nehisi. I grabbed his book, and then it just grew from there, really. So now I get paid to do it.
Yeah. With Penguin.
Yeah.
Publishing house? I don't know their formal title.
Yeah, the largest publishing house in the world.
Yeah, name dropper. Yeah, which is very cool. And again, I think people think of influencer as grifter, right? That's how I think of influencer in the wellness space that I operate in, is oh, it's Joe Rogan selling supplements that are bad for you. But you're trying to make reading more accessible and help people find books that will be of interest to them.
Yeah, I mean, I try to build my platform rooted in my personal ideological frameworks. So I'm a Black feminist. So that's what I try to keep my platform centered around. I've actually just been thinking I need to do a winter studies to figure out if I'm a socialist or a communist. So I need to do I'm not on here mindlessly pushing, or I'm trying not to, but the skeptics say we all have a price. So I probably have one.
Yeah. I'm an anarchist until somebody offers me a, sponsorship that will cover
what
my
I'm
costs.
saying? And then I'm just and if you put in my code, you'll get 20%, because I have a mortgage.
Right. Yeah. I have as a therapist, I wouldn't let BetterHelp sponsor my podcast because they're bad. Right.
Yes. Right. I wouldn't any Kindle, Audible. I try to go Libby, Bookshop, instead of the big dogs. But the big dogs have the money. So it's not they're always pushing and trying. So holding the line, I think it's something we all got to do.
As sort of this weird space where you can interact with some of these big names and catch some of these people? Like, what is it going to like a local, a Madison event or a Milwaukee event? Like, what sort of people are you connecting with there? It's not just big fancy names, it's sometimes retired librarians. So like, what's sort of the vibe you get at these events, and like who's excited about reading because it feels so ubiquitous and also is like this thing that not enough people are doing?
Yeah. I'm genuinely inspired and excited by anyone who, as I say, is like reading that good shit. I think in just like in all spaces, I think the things that are getting pushed out and like the things that are the most popular aren't necessarily doing the best job at making us the healthiest society. So I was at the library this summer, and it was an elderly man talking to the librarian in front of me, and he was just like, I just overheard the tail end of the conversation. He was like, she's the best short story writer, I don't know if you haven't read her, you need to find it. And I literally walk up to him and I'm like, I know you're not talking about Alice Munro. And he was like, oh, I absolutely am, young lady, and have you read? And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what this is about, and I've loved old stories my whole life. I just think that they root you in a really beautiful way. Like our whole experience on this planet is really just made up of stories. So I've even when I was like a first grader, I remember in my school library, I like subconsciously was looking for like the oldest book in that library, and it was like this book called Strawberry Girl. It was like written in 1940, and I was just excited at the idea of like someone who was so alive with an idea so long ago, and now I'm consuming it. So that's just I've always liked that, and I loved hanging out at the Madison Book Festival. The true readers, the room was stuffed with people. I loved that for the writer too. And also it was fun to connect with the folks in Milwaukee. Like it's interesting that people know who I am, because I never am posting under the guise of like to be perceived. Like I know that I am being perceived, but I'm just like, I like doing this. I am a theater child, So for people to like call back something I did, I'm always like, right, people, it's not a number of like, the number are people who engaged with this and saw it. So that's always fun.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk a little bit, if you don't mind, about like your early experiences with reading, who sort of cultivated that joy, that love of reading to the point where now you get to do it professionally
all the time. So in kindergarten, I actually refused to learn to read. We send our children to a Waldorf school. I did not go to a Waldorf school. I went to Menominee Falls Public School. So we're learning our letters and sounds in kindergarten, and I was like, this is too high pressure. Get me out of here. I'm not doing this. And my mom was like, okay, well, you need to learn how to do something. So she bought me all these sign language tapes. And so on the weekends, I was like learning signs because I didn't want to learn how to read. So I go into first grade, can't read a lick. All of my peers are reading. And then this girl in my class, Emily, was like reading at like a fourth grade reading level, and everybody loved her. So I was like, oh, I am about to blow this bitch out of the water. So then I was like, what do I have to do to get in Emily's reading group? And the teacher was like, girl, you can't even barely spell your name, but here. And so it literally just like is a semester. This is how I lived my whole life. It was just like from the beginning of school until December, I'm at home, just like until my eyes hurt, just running the things. And then finally, I went into my sister's room, grabbed a Babysitter's Club book, struggled through it, loved it, and then it took off. And so by the time the next semester rolled around, I was in the same reading group as Emily. And I did it because I just wanted the attention, but also I got access to all these beautiful stories. So I was like, oh, Babysitter's Club created me. R.L. Stein, Goosebumps created me. I did a little bit of Jodi Picoult, like her early, My Sister's Keeper. I read that in middle school. Look for Me by Moonlight. It was this wild wild vampire thing where he's like slowly killing this teenager. Why was that in my library? But I am not about censorship. So period. And
Yeah.
then also just like Coldest Winter Ever. I read that way too early. But it's great. It's just like it was able to give me like a sense of privacy where like, you know, you're a kid, people are always up in your business. Nobody's really paying attention to what I'm reading. So I just get to explore things like safely in that way.
Yeah. This is a terrible question because I just want to be like, so when were you diagnosed with ADHD? I need to stop asking people who aren't my clients that question, just assuming.
Hey.
So I also want to talk about racism.
Yeah, please, always.
Because I know you grew up in Menominee Falls, and so I'm from the north side of Milwaukee. And when I say north side, I mean geographically. So there's a sliver of Milwaukee that is between Menominee Falls and Brown Deer. It's still Milwaukee, but I'm that far north. So that's where I grew up, like 76th and Mill, right?
Got you.
Which anybody who's from around there is like, yeah, that's. If you go to the Burger King at 76th and Mill as a white person, like you're not getting your food right away. Like that's just what happens.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's not reverse racism or whatever. I'm just saying I grew up around there, and then I went to school in Sussex because I grew up super fucking religious, and my parents sent me to this weird little culty private school.
Okay.
But so it's this really weird sort of dichotomy. If you're in the city of Milwaukee, like it's very diverse, pockets of it are, but like where I grew up, like as a white person minority, there were Middle Eastern folks, there were Asian folks, there were lots of Black people around. And so then I went to private school, and we had like one Korean kid who was adopted by a white family. And there was this really weird mix between like, this is the environment I grew up in where it's diversity and there's lots of different people around. And then I went out into the suburbs, and it gets very white very fast. I'm curious what sort of your experience was like in Menominee Falls.
I mean, it was emotionally and psychologically violent. And it's just, what are you gonna do? Like I'm 4 generations removed from slavery, maybe. So my grandparents were the great migrators. My grandpa came up here from Arkansas. My grandmother came up here from Mississippi. And they were an ambitious lot. So they bought a house in Mequon on the lake, 5-bedroom, circular drive. My grandfather was a notorious slumlord in the 70s. That's how he made all of his money. And so my mom went to Homestead in the 70s. And it was just like, and just lived in a physically unsafe house. So like my grandfather was a slumlord and just like a terror in the house. And so my mom and my dad get married, and the house is very physically safe, but it's hard to free yourself from the shackles of respectability politics. So it's just like my parents built this house in Mequon. I'm going to build a house in Menominee Falls, and my kids are going to go to this school that is on paper is academically pristine, even if it is only 2% Black. What's the big deal about that? And so I walked around safe, and then my parents did have some foresight, like my mother knowing how homogenous the environment was. She was an administrator in the school, so that did insulate me from some things. Like people watched how they talked to my brother and I because they knew the power that my mother wielded. But I mean, a racist slip is always going to show, like, and just like people are products of their environments, you know? So while it was all happening, I was like happy and fine because I'm just like a high achieving person. So like I held the record, the track and field record. I still hold a record there, and I won Governor Girls Day. I got this huge scholarship, and blah blah blah. Like I'm good at masking, I guess. I don't know. And then once I leave the environment, I was, when I went to college, I went to the University of Kentucky for 2 years, and I really found some people who I really like. And honestly, I'm still working through like finding people, and just because of that lineage that I mentioned with my grandparents and my parents, I view relationships as very transactional because oftentimes they haven't been emotionally safe.
Yeah.
So I think more than anything, that's what the racism did to me. Like it had me believing that relationships can only go so far because eventually the person is going to disappoint you in a way that you all can't come back from, because of some belief that they have deeply instilled in them. And so you just kind of have to live with that and know that a part of you will always be lonely. But
Yeah.
I'm unlearning that now in my mid-30s, that I can have really deep and enriching relationships with people and push past stuff. And honestly, people of all races, it really helps if they aren't Republicans. Honestly, that was like that they're nuts. I'm not
Yeah.
they're nuts. So like right now I live the majority of my neighborhood is white, but all of them are socialist, and that really does make a difference. Like they just
Yeah.
like are aware of the oppression that we're living under.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and we're talking about Menominee Falls being racist, but like Mequon, Homestead, these are like white, wealthy
Deep
areas.
pockets. Yeah.
Yeah. Like the high school where the rich white kids are doing party drugs is Homestead. Like that's so.
Yes. That's where
And
they pull out the cocaine.
I graduated high school in 2006. It's been that way for as long as I can remember. So like this is an old white wealth area that your family then moved to and then moved out of. But like, yeah, like Milwaukee's so weird, I think, because it has this bad reputation because of a bad study that was done in the 90s that says it's the most segregated city in the country. It's not.
Really?
Because that study said Salt Lake City was the most integrated city in the country, which obviously not. They did it. It was a very poorly done study, but like Milwaukee has this bad reputation because of that. And it's so I try and highlight like, yeah, there's racism because it's America. So obviously,
Yeah.
and also like Milwaukee is not worse than other metropolitan areas around it. Like there's redlining and there's segregation and there's all the shit that I'm not dismissing or minimizing.
Yeah.
It's just I sort of hold that line of like Milwaukee's not worse than your other places, even if it has that reputation. But it is odd how quickly outside of the city proper those suburbs get real white, and it doesn't take long to see a Trump sign outside the city when you're driving in this area.
Yeah, just go west and it gets rough northwest.
Yeah, it's weird. So yeah, I was prepping and I saw like you went to school in Menominee Falls. So like, oh, we're gonna talk about that.
Oh, for sure.
Ursala K Le Guin is one of your preferred authors that made your top 3 list for favorite books.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, like you started out competitive with your reading and then fell in love with it. But like, yeah, this sort of, we'll talk about like Black feminist writing, but also like, Ursala K Le Guin did like a shit ton of sci-fi and a bunch of other stuff. Like,
yeah.
How did you took us sort of up to college? Where did the reading sort of go from there?
Yeah, I found Ursula in college. College really did its job for me. I believe in higher education. It obviously should be free because people need it. But I transferred from UK to Alverno because I was expecting my first child, Ethan. I need to be closer to my parents. And so I'm at Alverno and I'm just getting rocked left and right. My economics teacher is Ray is like, it's like a human economics is her approach. Like she's like, this is not a hard science in the way that physics and chemistry is a hard science, and I need people to stop. This is a social science. So she has us rewiring our brain all around that. My minor was global studies, so I'm just getting all of these statistics around like why the hell is Jamaica's GDP $6,500 and ours is 150? What does that even mean? And then like who is getting that 150? Because there are people who are only making $20,000. So I'm just getting all this information, young and 20, convinced that I'll fix it. I just need a minute and I'll get it together. So I'm going through it. I'm getting very disillusioned trying to do things in college, realizing cutting my teeth in the realities of bureaucracy. And so then I have to take an independent study with Stephen Sharkey, and I go into his classroom. I'm going to be a senior, and I was like, I have literally no more time for like theoretical bullshit, because and for some reason everyone just thinks they can only think so far, and then they stop imagining, and that is stressing me out because children are dying. What is the most radical thing we could do to save the kids? And he was like, oh, okay. So he like walks to his shelf and pulls out The Dispossessed by Ursala K Le Guin. And he was like, let's read this. And I was like, okay, don't piss me off. Like, this better be good. And so it's just a masterpiece, dude. Like, when you talk about someone really trying to take an idea and poke every possible hole in it, because you think of a utopic anarchy, and people are like, that would fix everything. And it fixed a lot, but she still exposed that nothing will be perfect. And I think that's a lot of the pushback that people get when they have radical ideas, is that, well, it won't work because of blah blah blah. Okay, but damn, can we try? Can we just adjust as we go on, instead of like you immediately writing it off as if the way that things are working right now is like great. So I just oh, it was such a masterpiece. So then I read that. I read The Word for World is Forest, also a masterpiece. The Left Hand of Darkness is like her crown jewel, which is interesting to me because I like The Dispossessed and The Word for World is Forest so much more, but also just like ahead of its time, chock full of non-binary characters in the 70s. Get out of here, dude. Ursula, don't even, when she died in like 2018, I took the day off. I called in and I cried. And she had 3 kids. Writing like that is just a genius. That's it.
Yeah.
I love her.
I will also say higher ed should be free, but similarly, I went to parochial school, again, grew up fundy, weirdly religious. But then I went to University of Minnesota, and I was pre-med and psych. And when I realized pre-med wasn't for me, then I was psych and cultural studies. And my cultural studies classes were awesome. And I read Left Hand of Darkness in college. Was the first time I had read any of her work. And like, it's those classes I think are really important. And like, I think the reason they're under attack now under our current regime, and have been under attack by Republicans for a long time, is because it broadens people's horizons. Like, I had been very sheltered in this very culty religion, and then I'm at this public university reading these books that are like revolutionary in concept, and you can't help but like look at the world differently.
Yes, thank you for flagging that difference, because I do have a beef with, like, if someone's going into a hard science, like if someone's pre-med and then they don't read any literature for any of their classes, I'm just like, I still don't have the language for how it stunts a person, but people be walking around half themselves because they are not taking any humanities. I need people to take humanities. We're human.
Right. Yeah. And as like a psych, I speak fondly. I mean, I was a terrible student. I got great grades, but like I skipped class all the time. I was one of those kids. But I never skipped my cultural studies classes because they were so much fun. We were reading like Frankenstein and being like, what would Freud say about Mary Shelley? And I'm like a young psych student being like, okay, this is not how I'm learning the science of psychology. Like, this stuff's fun. Like, let's explore and like see what would happen. And then I think that also set up a lot of my career to be different than, like, I have this very strong research background, and that definitely matters in a time when do your own research is a real problem for people.
And that phrase, as a researcher, how does that phrase make you feel?
I always laugh because I've laughed when people have said it to me, because I'm like, I'm published in scientific journals. Like, I can do my own research. Let me, sure, I will. But yeah, it's sort of the oversimplifying and besmirching of that concept. But like, I I think then I saw this psychology, like this in between of like psychology and art, like how do you be with people and how do you help? And I think having those cultural studies classes set me up to approach my entire career differently
Yeah.
because of that, instead of being like, oh, insurance will only reimburse me for this thing because it's backed by evidence. And like, again, I hold a lot of space for evidence-based practice. I think it matters.
Yeah.
And I don't think that can be healing in and of itself.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. And I do think the other thing I think about all the times in terms of Ursula is that both of her parents were like PhD anthropologists. So like that, like she was reared in a house that valued like critical thought that was open to being incorrect. Like they were just always trying stuff. So I think we see that in her writing everywhere.
Yeah. I think, well, I'm biased. My favorite author is a former anthropologist, but like the idea that people who have worked with societies that have already collapsed can do really great world building.
That sounds, with the very limited time that I've had to think about that, because it's the first time I've heard this idea, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't know. There's just something about if you can look at how a society collapsed, then you can put together a really good world. We're going to have some great authors who are, you know, in elementary school right now.
Oh my gosh. We're going to have some really, a second, third, fourth, I don't know which wave it would be, is coming. And we're going to be knocked on our asses. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to talk about your podcast? Should we?
Yeah, sure. Yes. So my podcast was born because I was trying to actually produce a show with PBS, and under the same name and I guess kind of the same concept. I'm building up to the concept, but it just didn't work out. So I was like, I have all of this like stuff. I need to put it somewhere. So I know that in order for me to make something good, I'm not the type who has a really strong outline. I always have an outline, but I know that there are gaps that I just can't account for, and I just have to start making the thing. So that really is the podcast right now. I'm like building it as it's flying with like the loose premises that I have. But I really, more than anything, if we like our unwilling participation in capitalism and how we need to have a place to put ourselves, I really just dream of being like the book person for like the hip hop folks. Like if Complex and Revolt and all of the rappers who consider themselves intellectuals, I would want them to want to talk to me about books. So that's what we're doing. That's what I'm trying to do. Making shit is hard.
Yeah. I like to test the content creation label, even though I have a podcast that's in its second year and I do a weekly YouTube video. But like, for me, it is, again, like I think this space where, we have plenty of content creators who are just putting out shit for money. You know, and so I think if you're good at something, passionate about something, well informed about something, that does matter. Like there is space for education and art appreciation and community building. Like the sort of idea of the internet that was a good idea before it just funded the military industrial complex. The idea of it as sort of this space for community building, like it's possible some places still.
Still, if we can still carve it out. That's I read Gia Tolentino's Trick Mirrors this year. It's like a book of essays that she published in like 2017 or 2018. Everyone says she's our generation's Joan Didion. She's like 36, and she is a beast. So I'm reading the book, but the book starts because she's like 37, I think. It starts with like her original relationship with the internet, and how it was just like this, like that sparkly font that would like give you an aneurysm. And it's like, then she had this like open journal where she's talking about how much she loves the internet. When she's 10, she's just like, I love the internet. And she's like, how we went from that to like, anytime anything is posted, she used to work at Jezebel, that like overtly feminist publication, and like they would post things and just get eaten alive. And she's like, how did we get here, dude? Because it used to be a fun field of flowers.
Yeah. Well, and we didn't even say the name of your podcast. These books are for everybody.
Oh yes, that is the name. That's the name. Much like these hoes, these books are for everybody.
Yeah. With just like a banger of a opening theme song too. It's very catchy.
Thank you, my brother, Oberlin grad.
Yeah, it's very good. It gives me podcast envy that you have such a good opening song. It's frustrating, I think, when you do something like this, because like the metrics and the algorithms and everything, like I have this research brain, so it's easy to chase these numbers that you get, or you know, you've gone viral. I mean, you've had some big names and some big Michael B. Jordan like in your content.
Michael, if you're listening, come back. Come back. Yeah.
But like it's easy to think there's some sort of I think we've been packaged the internet as if like if you just do the meritocracy of it, then you'll get that payoff. And like that's not at all what happened.
No. Honestly, okay, I'm going down a real Black girl niche moment right now. In 2014, Beyonce released her self-titled visual album, Beyonce. And it shook my world. I remember I watched it, I was crying, and I'm not even like Beehive for real. But I really felt like that's where she displayed how committed she was to excellence when she dropped that album. And so it was one of the moments in my life where I was tuned in for all the fodder. So there was an interview she had where she was like, even me as like an established artist, A-list celebrity, I can make something and it still might fail. I funded this project. I funded all these videos. The record label wouldn't do it. I pushed it out. They didn't even know she was pushing it out. And she was like, and I did all this knowing that nothing might come of it. Yeah. So I just have to be proud of what I created. And I was 24 when I watched that, and that's literally what I cling to. So no, like whatever I put out, no matter what it gets, like metrics wise, I'm like, in 10 years when I look back at this, will I value what this was doing? And that's just how I move. Yeah I have to have some version of that too, because like stupid shit goes viral and I get mad about it. For every time. Yes.
Like, why didn't anybody watch the video that's really good and well thought out? And then like the stupid thing where I'm complaining about Nazis is going viral. Like,
yes.
Okay.
Yes. Every time.
Or it'll be like 5 months. Like I reviewed a Chumbawamba song that went viral after Charlie Kirk died, because Chumbawamba's super anarchist and awesome, actually.
And of course that sent everyone.
Yeah. So then I was like, why do I have so many views? And I opened this like 5-month-old video and I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I know.
But like it's this weird thing that you sort of can't chase. And so it's I try and balance. Like, would I rather have 25 people who could be watching a Jordan Peterson video watch my shit? Like, yeah, that makes it worth it. I don't care if it's making money or going viral or doing anything. Like, there's 25 people who are getting better information than they would have gotten elsewhere. And that's important.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. But it is hard to.
It's the grind. It's just, I was just talking to my homies about it. I have like a group chat with 2 full-time book creators. And we were just like, you just can't really do anything to scale, because everything that you create, you kind of have to be at the center of it. So you're not ever making any type of money without your time also being taken. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Or buying equipment or converting your living room to a recording space or whatever. Right. Yeah. And then like to do it well, you know, I get frustrated with my profession with therapists who use AI for like their media content because I'm like, y'all, we should be better than this. What are we
Yeah,
doing?
yeah.
Um, but like, yeah, it's a chunk of change every month for me to pay a graphic designer to do my media. Like, I'm ethically aligned with that, but like, and it sucks.
A- absolutely, absolutely. And dude, yeah, I think about it all the time.
Yeah. Versus, you know, there I would not have anything if I didn't pay someone to do it. I wouldn't do it because it would take me so long and I'd get frustrated and I
Because
wouldn't do
it's
it.
just it's out of my purview. Like
Right.
I'm trying to like make merch, and the amount of hours I've spent just putting 3 words together so it can go on the left chest. I'm like, right, people have degrees in this. I do
Right.
not. I'm just using my eyes.
Yeah.
So I feel you.
Yeah. You also do some annotation for hip hop verses.
Yeah.
I guess now that we're talking about it, like I am curious how long it takes you to do those.
I mean, that's why they don't come out that long. I mean, that often because, I mean, first off, my degree is not in English. My degree is in community organizing and global studies. So it's like, me looking at something being like, this is a pun. What is the like, what word do poets use for pun? Like that's like, so those are the type of things I'm Googling.
Yeah.
And also just like learning the lore around hip hop, because I've always been like a casual consumer of hip hop. So I don't like, I've never been like in the blogs or like following like, so just like knowing that this is an illusion because Jay-Z kind of like had to call out Benny Siegel because Benny Siegel wasn't grateful for how he put him on. I'm like, I had no idea that's what was happening just now. I just really liked the way that it
Yeah.
sounded when it happened. So but I have always, as a little Black girl being reared in Menominee Falls, I really liked the freedom that hip hop presented to me. I really, because like I said, I was raised under an oppressive respectability regime, which is
Yeah.
that was really loaded language. It wasn't, my parents are great. It wasn't that bad. But it was just like hip hop displayed to me that if you did not align with the respectability, you would still live to see another day. Like it wasn't, and
Yeah.
that was really freeing to me. Like I was like, Mystical started this with what? And this is playing on all of the radio stations. People like, it's like people are celebrating this. So
Yeah.
um I don't know. It was really easy for me as a child to like put myself in the position of, because I mean, hip hop is very derogatory towards women. And so I'm constantly getting asked, like, how are you listening to this as a Black feminist, etc. And because it's my like formative music, I was the pimp. Like when I was listening to the song, I wasn't the one being pimped. So it was just like,
Sure.
it just really gave me like confidence and like a fearlessness that I needed to navigate. And I
Mhm.
still now, before I have to do something big and scary, I'll listen to Power by Kanye West, and then I'll listen to The Transformation of Language and Action by Audre Lorde. Like I literally am 50% 2000s early aughts hip hop lyrics.
Yeah. For sure. And I think if you're like a little book nerd, hip hop was very fun for like the wordsmithing that was available. Like I grew up again, Christian and country were the only things I was allowed to listen to. So like my
Okay.
brother sneaking in like a Boys to Men cassette back in the day was like a
Yeah.
big deal. But like when I listened to Jay-Z, I was like, oh man, like that's so clever. And
It's great.
I had no frame of reference for what I grew up listening to really being devoid of any cleverness or meaning even. It was like
Yes.
this whole new world open for me.
I really like when you think about hip hop as being one of the largest moments of like counterculture resistant. Like that's how it started. The roots are just the roots are like deliciously radical. So even as far as we have strayed in some ways, because Genius on Instagram just put up the craziest thing of some little boy with this mask on describing his lyrics, and he's not even putting a coherent sentence together. But like, despite that we've gotten that far away from what the roots are, roots matter. So
Yeah.
I, as much as I loved hip hop, I was sneaking albums into my house. The Misdemeanor, like, is it worth it? Let me work. I snuck that into my house, and I was only listening to it when my parents were out of the house. My older sister, she's like 44. Machiavelli, I ain't a killer, but don't put, like, she snuck that into the house. And we were listening to it, and so we had to sneak, but it just really speaks to me on a spiritual level. It always has. It's just like the survival that it's rooted in, like the by any means necessary, I'm gonna make it, the pageantry, you don't have two nickels to rub together, but you're still like talking shit about how you'll buy somebody's house. Like, it's just manifestations, and it's just beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. And I'm very obviously a white person. My listeners are aware of this. But like, again, I grew up around predominantly Black neighborhood, and I'm late diagnosed neurodivergent. I'm queer. So like this idea of like the marginalized community making art and being like, fuck the system.
Yes.
That always appealed to me in a way that didn't make sense until I got much older and could be like, oh, well, like, right, the country music wasn't for me either, obviously.
Yeah.
And so I do, like Brian Eno's and Infinity Knives, City Drowned in God's Black Tears is the album I've listened to the most this year, still at this point.
Yes.
And like, when I say I listen to death metal, people are like, oh yeah, that tracks because I've got the long hair and everything. And then when I'm like, you guys listening to Infinity Knives? They're like, who?
It's what two sides of the same coin,
Right.
Like, I need people to be locked in about what counterculture looks like across cultures. It's just the people try to make it and express themselves.
Yeah. And punk and hardcore, and it's like, yeah, I'm listening to things that are anti-fascist. I don't care.
Yes.
Who's making them? That's the vibe right now, right?
For
like
sure.
That's what it needs to be. Yeah. What a weird time to be alive.
True. I know. We can't go that far. We can't pull that far out, because truth is, I'm tired. I can't even.
Yeah.
This is unbelievable.
One of the questions I know I wanted to ask you was, you got 3 kids. How do you find so much time to read?
It's my job. So I mean,
I was hoping for something more useful than that, Cree.
Yeah, it's my job. I value it. Because Brian and I both, Brian's my husband, we both read a lot. And I mean, I am really grateful for audiobooks. My brain has been spinning a lot more than it used to. A toddler in the house is rougher on me than, like, Julius is 2.5 right now. Once he hits like 4 or 5, I think physical books will be easier. Like, my nervous system will not be as, like, it feels like split ends right now. So even before this, I like went for an 1.5-hour long walk, and I was listening to an audiobook. I read before I go to sleep for about 45 minutes every night. When I'm cleaning the kitchen, I'm listening to an audiobook. I'm staining all the wood in our living room right now. And like, actually, all the wood in my house basically needs to be stripped and sanded and stained. And so like the wood that I'm staining right now, I started stripping in August of 2024. And those are all audiobooks, that got me through that. So that really is the downside to audiobooks, is like, you miss out on the annotation. Like, I listened to, I knew it was over there. I listened to King Leopold's Ghost earlier this year, which is a masterpiece. And I've just been wanting to reference it because like it's about this like secret genocide that I think the average person doesn't know about. And I realized it's harder for me to reference it because I didn't annotate it, versus it's big, so I can't. Okay, anyway, King by Jonathan Eag. It won the Pulitzer in 2023 or 24, I think. I read that, so it's like
Yeah.
heavily annotated.
Yeah.
And so it's easy. It's super easy for me to reference anything there. So that's how I do it.
Yeah. Yeah. I find since kids, well, I read a lot more graphic novels, and I like grew up a like superhero nerd, like Batman.
For sure.
The prime like Batman was animated series was my childhood, but
Okay.
it's just like that. Like I used to stay up till like 1 a.m. reading. If I liked a book, I would finish it.
Yes.
And like
Yes.
I fall asleep now. Since kids, I'll fall asleep.
I know. The last time I was up reading a book was when we lived in River West. So it was like it was the summer of 2023. And Rosemary's Baby, Ira Levin, masterpiece. It was River West 24. So I'm on the porch watching people drive past. So I was up until like I finished the book, which I never do. People always think that I'm putting books away in a day. I am not. But then I didn't sleep for 3 weeks. That was too much to shove into your body in one night. But it's so good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love, I'm not on TikTok because I'm an old millennial, and it's the wrong kind of stimulation. I don't know why. I don't know how to describe it other than it's overstimulating, and I have ADHD, so that's saying something.
Yeah.
But I love like connecting with somebody who's read books, and like the way my brain works, I just want to be like, hey, did you read this book? Because it reminded me of this from this book, and then this from this book.
For sure.
And it's really quick, easy as a neurodivergent person to overwhelm people, because apparently other people's brains don't work that way. But like, yeah, it's so much fun when you like find somebody who's like, oh my gosh, I did read that book. I loved it. Here, did you read this? No,
Yes.
but I'm going to now because you recommended it.
Yes. Yeah. I'm really, because of my my job, I'm very guarded about who I take book recommendations from. And it is like, it's high pressure. Like, you give me a book, you swear I'm gonna love it, I don't love it, I'm never taking a book recommendation from you again. So yes.
Yeah, that's the correct way to do it. You get one shot, and that's it.
One shot. Yes, that is absolutely the correct and emotionally healthiest way to go about this, for sure.
Yeah. Other than reading, which is lovely and awesome for so many different reasons, how are you taking care of your mental health? What else do you do in these fascistic late stage capitalism times?
Yeah, I take a lot of walks. I walk a lot. Also, I exercise in general. I have a kettlebell that I be trying to be in relationship with.
Just one singular kettlebell.
Honestly, just one. I was doing my whole workout with the 20-pound one, and then I just bumped it up to 30 because I was like, this is getting too easy. And now the 30's whooping my ass. So once that's too, but I talked to a personal trainer, and he was like, don't go past 45. Like, with how much you weigh, you'll be doing too much. Like, whatever, Robert. But he's probably right. I really am just like, I am the product of like Black Mississippians who are farmers, who like, my grandma grew up on a farm in Kosciuszko. And so I believe in the power, or like the opposite of like the depletion of food. Like, what you put in your body is like in direct correlation with how you're doing. So I'm not as intense about it as I feel like I could be. I know people who are more intense about it than I am, but like we cook a lot. Like that, like I just make I actually have a neighbor who has just like changed my life, mostly just because of the amount of discipline that she is always displaying. But just watching her, she just like almost lives in her kitchen. And then also I have both of my sister-in-laws are vegan. And when they're in town, they're in the kitchen. And I'm like, yeah, because that's where it starts. That's where it all starts. So I just like have committed myself, like reframing the idea of being kitchen bound as like a privilege and like a necessary like vehicle for the health of all of the people that I love, instead of like oppression. So I've been enjoying just like making food, even if it's like something really simple. Also just like my relationship with my screens are not the healthiest right now. I'm actually trying to rework them, because as like I'm trying to build up this podcast and all of these things I'm doing, it's super easy to just start scrolling, and then the next thing you know. So that's not great on my mental health, I'm gonna be honest, but like it is great. Like our kids don't have school this weekend, like on Thursday and Friday, and I just like try to leave my phone in a different room, so because it's just better for all of us if I'm not trying to do a whole bunch of things. So I mean, yeah, and then just like I don't recognizing that I'm gonna die, like that's inevitable. My so just like
Is that where I thought we were going?
just like having that at the forefront of everything that I do is just like, yeah, I'm gonna die, I should do this real quick, or like I should definitely put this dress on, because I'm not gonna be able to wear a dress like this forever. My teenager has taken a recent interest in astronomy. He thinks that's what he wants to do after high school, is like become an astronomer. And so he's always, giving us these wild stats. So he's like, the chances of you being born is blah, 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 blah. So you're here. And so like, dying is kind of scary, but it's just a result of being born, which is just a miracle. And so I try, I try. And when I'm really stressed, I think about Jupiter. Like, what am I worried about? The big ass planet is out there 8,000 times the size of the planet I'm on.
Yeah. I love that stuff. I mean, one of my specialties is religious trauma. So I see all these people who are looking for healthy community, but also meaning making, like, right. And after leaving an unhealthy or toxic environment. And I love to sort of hit them with that, like, right, we're on this planet moving 600,000 miles an hour through space. Like that in 2 million years will be destroyed by a star. Like, we know these things to be true. Why are you so worried about sending an email? And then, I have to remind myself of that, because I refuse to talk on the phone.
Jeremy,
just text me, don't call me.
We're millennials. We're gonna, but also like, as what I said about like me working through whatever I've learned about friendships that are incorrectly. I really have been like working to be a friend, and like learning how to do it, and like have friendships and relationships that inspire me and that fill me up. So also just like in the past like 2 years, just wonderful women have come into my life, and it is it's keeping my feet on the ground.
I think community is important, has always been important, and I think a lot of white people are coming around to the idea that it's important, because we're just some of us are just becoming aware of how fascist America has always been.
Always. Jim Crow was a fascist state.
Yeah, and so it's something I've had to do personally, but also like recommending to a lot of my clients, like read Black authors, read Indigenous writers. Like Judgment Day happened for the Indigenous communities here, and they're still getting together in community and dancing. Like, you can learn from that.
Yes, resilience. Humans are resilient, among other things. We can survive some wild shit.
Yeah, we can be really fucking stupid, but also work our way through it.
Yes. Both the yes and of that is so real. Yes.
Fantastic. In one episode, you did make a comment about D&D, about how Black people don't play D&D, and I do just want to amend that for you to say, not only is one of the most famous D&D players Black, but also like, if I can be so bold as a white person to say, I think Black people would really enjoy D&D if they gave it a try.
I can say the homie book content creator Isata jumped in my DMs with a quickness, like, girl, we play D&D. You don't play D&D. I was like, I sure don't. But I'm always open to Black people are everywhere. I do my own people a disservice when I say we don't do that. And I think sometimes we get into this space of like, we accidentally bleed our cultural norms into what we do and do not do with like experiences, which we do. Like I've camped my whole life, and
Yeah.
people like, Black people don't camp. My dad was a game warden. We were camping, you know.
Right.
There were
Yeah.
rifles in the house. So none of us are monolithic, really.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. And I think, I talk about being neurodivergent before, but like, right, when you have that intersectional lens, we're all have some privilege and all have some marginalized identity pieces of ourselves. And it's like, right, not monolithic.
Absolutely.
I love the podcast. I love that you're doing work to make reading more accessible. I love adding to my infinite list of books to read.
Yes.
If people want to follow you, if people want to follow your work, if people want to check out your podcast, where do they go? How do they find you?
Okay. I hang out too much. I'm chronically online on Instagram. It's just my name, Cree Myles. Myles is spelled with a Y. Cree like tree with a C. And the podcast is These Books Are for Everybody. That's in the link on Instagram, but you can also look that up on YouTube. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify. We're trying really hard to put this next episode out. We're just like trying to tweak things, so it's slowing us down.
Sure.
And is that the things that I'm doing right now? Yeah, that's where I am in these digital streets.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll have the links in the show notes so people can find it. And
Awesome.
You mentioned your husband, Brian. Brian is a sometimes volleyball sub for me too.
Yeah.
So shout out to the sometimes co-host you have of Brian.
He's my permanent co-host.
Oh, he's bumped up to permanent.
Yeah, we're doing all of our book conversations together, and then I still want to like have interviews with other people, and that's just like Brian has a whole job, you guys, like so he can't just be globbing on to my job. That would be unfair. That'd be unfair to him. But he was like, if you get Ruth Wilson Gilmore on there, you better not interview her without me. So he's like, those are the type of people he wants to talk to, but like the authors that I'm trying to reach out to and the rappers that I dream of speaking to, he's just like, you got it. But I will be here to talk with you about books on the other days. Yeah. Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for listeners of this podcast, if you like the chatty conversational ADHD-ness of it all, that's very much Cree's got even more energy and excitement. An old cynical man at this point.
You are not. Oh, you're not old. Maybe cynical, but not.
Definitely cynical. Absolutely. So yes, check out These Books Are for Everybody, and like I said, we'll have that stuff in the show notes, so it's easy to find. Awesome. Cree, this has been incredible. Thanks for coming on and taking the time.
Thank you so much for asking me. This is always like a reprieve. I know you just had to work, but I just got to sit here and yap, which was wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, being a guest on podcasts is great.
It's great. It's so great. So I love this.
Absolutely. Was great. And to all our wonderful listeners, thanks for tuning in again. We will be back next week with another new episode. Take care, everyone.